Hi there, this is Justin Krane, Certified Financial Planner Professional and founder of Krane Financial Solutions. Welcome to Money You Got This. So how can you really live? How? By uniting your business money, your personal money with your life and your business. Word up.
Krane Financial is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only, and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products.
Hey everyone, welcome to Money You Got This. This show is brought to you by Krane Financial Solutions. I'm Justin Krane. I'm a certified financial planner professional, and I offer investment management services and act as a fractional CFO to business executives. I'm also the author of the book, Money You Got This. I'm psyched you're listening to the show. I want to give you this free report, 3 things multimillionaires do to grow their wealth. Just go to coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. That's coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. Thanks. Talking about the fact that you got this, I've got someone today who I've never had on, anyone who was a Navy SEAL. And I am pumped. I did 4 push-ups before this, 4 million abs. I ran 22 miles. Actually, I'm now running a lot, so we got to talk about that. But I have Alden Mills on, who I'm going to read the whole bio, but first let me just tell you, I've watched him. He talks about leadership. He was a Navy SEAL. He's growing gazillions of businesses. And I think he's like, I don't know, 21 years old or something like that. So Alden, welcome to the show.
Oh my God, you are definitely judging the wrong cover of that book. Let's try 51, but that's 51. Fine.
All right, I was off by 30 years. So
yeah.
Guys, listen to what Alden has done in his 51 short years. At age 12, when his doctor told him he had to learn chess because he had asthma and he had to reinvent his life and it was going to be hard for him to play sports, he conquered asthma. He went on to achieve huge things. Navy SEAL, divisionally ranked rower. I actually got into rowing with Orange Theory, so I can relate to that. Academics, military service, business, philanthropy. As a Navy SEAL, he's led his platoon through multiple missions. Oh my God, I'm channeling like so many shows I'm watching right now. That is so cool that you did that. Thank you. And after serving the military, you founded Perfect Fitness. You led your growth to over 12,000% in annual sales of 90 million. You've been in magazines. You've developed 40 patents. The perfect push-up, perfect pull-up. Oh my God, I'm doing PE with my kids in this coronavirus stuff, so I want to hear about that. You've been featured on ABC's Nightline, CBS, Big Idea with Donnie Deutsch. Love that show. Wish that would be brought back. You're on multiple boards. You've done a lot. And dude, I'm stoked to have you here. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, it's an honor to be here. And I love what your podcast is all about.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's just first start off and talk about the fact that at a young age, you had to kind of rise to the occasion. You were told that you weren't going to be able to do a lot of stuff with asthma. And if you hear asthma and you think inhaler, but to a 12-year-old, that's a big thing. So talk about that experience that you had with that and what you learned from it and how you then kind of went into being who you are today. And we'll talk more about that, but talk about your experience with asthma in sports.
Well, the reason I bring that story up a lot is that was a real turning point in my life at the ripe old age of 12. And I was not able to make the turn without a mentor. And my mentor that day was my mom. And she was with me that day. That I grew up in Massachusetts and went to see this guy that looked a lot like an older Danny DeVito with like kind of Coke bottle thick glasses. And he talked in a kind of nasally Massachusetts accent, and he said, I see what's wrong with your son here. He's got asthma. He's born with smaller lungs. He needs to learn the game of chess and lead a less active lifestyle. And Mom saw immediately, like my chin went down, my shoulders rolled forward. I'm like, oh. She tapped me on the shoulder and she's like, you go wait outside. I'll talk to the good doctor. By the time she comes out and finds me, I'm having a full pity party, right? Crocodile tears are coming down the face. And Mom gets in that aggressive position with her hands on her hips, right? She plays offense at that point. We all know that.
Nice with Mom.
No. Kicks my foot, looks at me, and she's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, Mom, chess? I'm terrible at checkers. How am I going to learn the game of chess? Now, what had I done? I'd already gone that path, right? That's the doctor. He's the professional. He knows what's best. So I'd already made the decision. I got to learn the game of chess. And how am I going to do that? And that's when Mom did something that forever changed my direction in life. She's got these long French kind of cuticle nails, and I swear she files them for moments like this. She drops to a knee, digs them into my forearm, right? And it says, now you look at me. Nobody defines what you can or can't do but you. You understand that? I'm like, ah. Of course, I just want the velociraptor claws to release. And I was like, okay, I understand. She's like, no, you say it back to me. I said it back to her. You know, I didn't get it that day, but she kept saying it, right? She kept doing it. She kept doing it. And so did Dad. And Dad got on board with it. And, you know, she'd be like, so what if you scored on your own team in basketball? You go try another sport. And, you know, another sport. And I turns out I was terrible at ball sports. But that little pivot turned into a series of cascading events that eventually helped me find the sport of rowing. I was pretty good at sitting on my butt going backwards for long periods of time. And that took me to the Naval Academy. That took me to SEAL Team. SEAL Team took me to entrepreneurship. You know, and so it all really stemmed at that pivotal moment where I had to make a decision. What am I going to listen to? The expert that thinks that's trying to be healthy. I mean, I don't harbor resentment for the doctor. He's trying to keep me safe. But sometimes you don't want to play it safe, right? You want to take the risk. You want to go outside that comfort zone. And that's where life really starts, is outside the comfort zone.
Why do so many people play it safe and not go out of their comfort zone?
Because it's terrifying. Think about this. What's outside the comfort zone? Hard work, pain, the unknown.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the unknown. For me, I'm willing to be hard work and pain, but the unknown, it screws with us, at least me. Like,
it screws with all of us. Come on, take a look at what we're dealing with today. The unknown is uncertainty, right? What's a crisis? A crisis is just a flash of going from certainty, predictability, to uncertainty, right? It just totally puts us in reactionary mode. The same thing happens in the unknown. Like, oh my God, we don't know what's going to happen. We are all built with a negativity bias. We put more emphasis on negative, and then we conjure up negative hypotheticals. And that's what lives in the unknown. The negative hypothetical. You know, if we go swim in that water over there, there could be a shark. Do you know what sharks do? They rip you apart. They eat you. Why would you ever want to go in that water? Right? And that's boom, 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 boom. Of course, you're like, but it's a lake. It doesn't matter, right? The things live there that could come get you.
It's a land shark.
Yeah, a land shark.
So you got into rowing, and then you went into the Naval Academy, and then you became a Navy SEAL. So what I want to know is I know the most about rowing. You know, I've never been in the Navy, but that path makes me think, wow, you must have started out at, let's just say 10 is the highest level for rowing or just ranking in the Navy. Mm-hmm. You must have started out at like a 4, and you must have had to work at it to improve, to get to a 5, to get to a 6, and then to improve over time. And what I see with a lot of business owners and really people with money is they think they can go from a 4 to 10 in like 5 minutes, and they don't necessarily see that it takes hard work and time. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, and listen, I can tell you, we can talk about it from a rowing perspective, or I can just talk it from my business perspective.
I want to hear both, because I think we do have athletes, but they need to understand the connection between whether it's literally a sport, being in the Navy, or growing your business.
Well, the beautiful thing about the metaphor of sport, especially with rowing, is rowing doesn't really require amazing amounts of athletic ability, right? You're not
Yeah.
like Michael Jordan is just a different animal, right? Like how he could spin and fly and dunk. Like, I don't think you can really teach somebody those kind of microscopic, fast twitch, amazing movements, right? I mean, some of that you got it or you don't. Rowing is a very simple movement pattern. Now, it's technical, but it's just a simple movement pattern. And the beauty of it is if you have the right size, like if you're too small, it doesn't really work. You need leverage, right? So I'm 6'3". That helps. But the thing that you have to do is you just have to work your ass off. You have to work really hard. And in the beginning, you're learning how to pull at a maximal effort while you're sitting down. Your stomach's kind of bent. You got to learn a new way to breathe. Then you got to learn which muscles to relax, which muscles to pull, because you are doing this maximal effort for 6 minutes. It's like a sprint for 6 minutes, right? They equate that, by the way, one rowing race to the caloric burn rate of 2 back-to-back professional basketball games. Wow. So it's wildly intense. But so the only way that happens is you have to do what's called a lot of aerobic to anaerobic threshold training, which means you're going to just go for hours at this pace and just learn like just the nuances of chipping away at, and I didn't start at 4. I started at number 1, I suck. Yeah. Right? I got thrown out of the boat. Like an oar caught me, and fell in the water. I mean, a boat flipped on me. Like I was all over the place. But what I did have is that I had a belief. And, I'll share this moment of a belief is that from a young age, I had big thighs. And I knew this because everybody made fun of me at YMCA with the YBA basketball. That's where I learned to play basketball. And I was really bad at basketball, and I had to wear the short shorts with the high knee socks. And I just couldn't jump. I wasn't fast. I sucked. And so everyone used to laugh at me, go, oh, yeah, Thunder Thighs is in now, right? So I always knew I had big thighs. And then I go off to high school, and this coach points me out, and he goes, hey, those legs you got, those are rowers' legs. You should try the sport of rowing. And now for the first time, someone had acknowledged that, yes, I do have big thighs, but wait a minute, those are actually helpful for something. And I knew that, right? And that gave me a little reason to believe. So every time I got thrown out of the boat, or I got blisters on my hands, or I caught what's called catching a crab, I just said, well, I have these thighs. I know I can do this, right? So you just chip away at it, and you chip away at it. And the reason I bring that up is when people would come to me like, you invented the perfect push-up? That thing is amazing. You guys sold a gazillion of those. And I'd get interviewed for it. And they'd be like, oh my God, you're the overnight success. And I'm like, the overnight success that took 10 years. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's not forget that. Yeah. Everybody knows of your success. They don't know of all the failures, of all the practice you had in the preparation of finally getting to that point.
Yeah, it's that story about Picasso, like painting something on a napkin, charging the lady 50 grand for it. And she's like, you did that in 5 minutes. He's like, no, I did 25 years of hard work and, practice to be able to do this in 5 minutes. So let's bring this into business, because you've done great stuff. I mean, guys, just the perfect push-up, the perfect pull-up, all of these things. Like I went to your site, you got great stuff on there. I got to get some of that. Like I'm in. So bring that into a business owner I see this a lot with both my clients and just other friends and other business owners, where they think they can do something and have success quick, but they don't see that it takes time. And then with social media and like all that stuff, it's like, even my kids that are teenagers, they expect things to happen like in 4 minutes. Yeah. So what would you tell a business owner that wants to grow, but either isn't seeing the success right away and knows that it's going to take time, but isn't seeing the success, in 5 minutes?
The first thing I tell a business owner, and I talk to a lot of them, is to remember why they got into business in the first place. And by the way, right after Perfect Push-Up took off, I'm on the cover of we were declared the fastest growing consumer products company in the country by Inc. magazine. We were number 4 overall. We were doing all these media tours, and 2009 hits. And we had an amazingly challenging year that year. We dropped sales dramatically. And you have to really get back to why you're in business in the first place. When you go through all these, ups and downs, remember who you're actually serving and focus in on the service that you're providing, the joy and the gratitude. And I know it sounds like a little philosophical here, but if all of business is just like, all right, I'm going to get more profit, I just got to get more profit, you're going to find yourself on a roller coaster, and you're never really going to get fully fulfillment out of it. And I found myself at one point, when I'm serving Walmart, and I'm serving Carrefour and Tesco all around the world. And it was just about, and investors were like, okay, get more. And it started to burn me out. And then I got this letter from this young boy. He's 14. And it said, "Dear Mr. Perfect Push-Up Man, my grandmother gave me the Perfect Push-Up Basic for Christmas." That means they bought it at Walmart at that point. "And I followed your workout routine 4 times. Each routine is 3 weeks. So it's 12 weeks of workouts. And I want you to know I made the JV football team. Thank you for inventing the perfect push-up. Next year, I'm trying out for varsity Johnny number 25.
That's awesome.
And you know what? I took that, I put that in the front door where everybody walked in, did a little town hall meeting. And I said, this is why we're in business. At the end of the day, we all want to grow. We all want to be these successes. Let's help the Johnnies and the Jamies and everybody else who's got a dream to do something with their body. Let's be a part of that success. And the byproduct will be spectacular growth. And that takes a little bit of time. And, you know, it can be frustrating when you're putting all this effort out into the universe, waiting for something to come back and it's not happening. But if you're doing it for the right reasons and you see that, okay, this service, I am solving a real problem for my clients, the growth's going to come. But you have to be committed to stay the course.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Everybody is telling you.
I mean, you've got to, I just assume that you learn about commitment as a Navy SEAL. You assume about never giving up. You know, you learn about not quitting. I listened to you talk about you almost went bankrupt and you didn't, and you just kept going. And, you know, we hear about not quitting, but there's still a time for everyone where we feel like we're done, or we quit, or we get to a place of mediocrity. And commitment is huge. I mean, even like with, I know it sounds so lame, but for the money that I manage, it's all about compounding of interest. It's a long-term game. And most of my clients, they're in it for the long. I mean, everyone is, but
Right.
Every now and then we want that quick, you know, something, and we forget that results take commitment and take time. So maybe just I want to hear one story. I want to hear one Navy SEAL story about commitment. I already heard one about you not sleeping for 3 days. So that one I got. But give me another one about being a Navy SEAL and commitment, and how anyone through commitment can apply the things that you did and that you're doing. One that you feel comfortable with, because I know some are like, you know.
Yeah. You know what? Why don't I tell you about what they first tell us when we go into SEAL training?
Okay.
And this guy's a real character. He had his left butt cheek shot off by a rocket-propelled grenade in Vietnam. So he walks with a limp. And He talks with a deep Southern accent, and he loved to tell us that he could do more with his half butt than we could with our full butts, right? But that's a side note. This day, it is, we're 122 candidates, and we are to take the final class up test to start SEAL training. The little dirty secret is that once you get accepted in SEAL training, they don't put you in there. They put you in this holding cell for about 7 weeks, and they kind of marinate you a bit and get you used to the SEAL vernacular and the uniforms and the training schedules. So you're stronger, right? You're taking exactly the same physical training test you had to take 3 times before just to get there. Push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, a swim and a run. But this time around, good old instructor Halfbutt comes out to talk to us first. And he says, y'all want to know the secret of making it through Navy SEAL training? And we were like kids to a campfire, right? We were all leaning in, like, oh, yeah, we want some of that. Oh, I figured as much. Well, let me tell you, it ain't complicated. It's hard, but it ain't complicated. You see, you just have to decide what you're willing to pay. How much are you willing to pay to become a Navy SEAL? We're all looking like, what the hell is he talking about? And he goes, I know for a fact 80% of you ain't going to be willing to pay the price. You know why? Because you all want to be a SEAL on a sunny day. And that's a problem. You see, your country, she don't need SEALs on sunny days. She needs them on scary days when it's cold and it's dark and it's wet and that crack over your head. That's not thunder. That's somebody want you dead. How bad you want to be a SEAL on that day? Well, you know what my job is? My job is to create a conversation between here and here. A conversation that's going to drive you to make a decision, to quit or to graduate, to stick it out. And the only way you're going to figure that out is by deciding how much you're willing to pay. He goes on for a while, right? But that point is, and the reason I share that story is that's the same conversation we all deal with all the time, right? In my book, Unstoppable Teams, that's the first chapter. It's leading the conversation inside ourselves, leading the conversation of the whiner and the whisperer. The whiner wants, oh my God, you know how long this is going to take? Why can't we get it right now? Oh, this is too hard. I don't want this right now. I want instant gratification, right? Oh, and by the way, everyone says you can't be done, or, how do we know we could do this? The whiner just, ja. And then the whisperer is like, you got to keep going. Get up. Do it again. Go a different way. Come on. It's worth it. Keep going. Keep paying the price, right? The big difference between someone that's kind of a wannabe business owner to a average business owner to someone that has gone to unbelievable lengths is that they're willing to pay the price. They're willing to sacrifice days, weeks, months, early mornings, late nights, to pay the extra price to help that customer provide that value that people are like, I got to have that in my life.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I think what I'm hearing is, first of all, you got to be willing to pay the price. But you said something that the guy, the Navy, we'll call him a general, said. What was his title?
His instructor.
Decision. He said you have to decide that you're willing to pay the price. And I think oftentimes in business and in life, sometimes we make a decision, but we're not aware that we're making a decision.
Right.
And we have to become aware, oh yeah, you know what? I haven't done this. And that's actually, I decided that I don't want to do it, or it's not important to me. Or I've made a decision and I really want to hire these 3 people because they're really going to help me grow. or I'm going to decide to wake up a half an hour earlier, whatever it is. But I think making a decision, because I heard a speech about making a decision. That's why it resonates with me, Alden, about this guy, Jim Stovall, who was an Olympic weightlifting champion. Have you heard of who he was? Blind. He was Olympic weightlifting champion, then went blind. And his whole talk was about how you have the freedom to make decisions. Of course we have the freedom to make decisions.
Yeah.
Of course we have the power to choose. But do we have the power to choose and make decisions? And do we do them on the dark days, like you're saying, not just on the sunny days?
And you know, what I also like about that story is that you always think about the sunny days of business, right? Who doesn't want to be in sales when sales are humming? Who doesn't want to be the inventor when your widget solves the world's greatest problems, right? But what about the inventor when, oh my God, it didn't work again. It didn't work again. It didn't work again. It didn't work again, right? Mm-hmm. Or the salesman is like, oh, again and again and again. I'm getting turned down, right? How many of those salesmen are out there that are like, yep, just made my 59th cold call today and they hung up on me on the first 7 seconds.
Yeah.
But maybe it was the 60th one where that person is like, I've been waiting for you.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about business and money. Because I want people to learn from you. So you created one overall fitness brand. Is that right?
Yeah, perfect. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And from there, you created products. The perfect push-up are these, I guess, these bars that you hold on to do a perfect push-up. Is that right?
There's one right here.
Yeah. So if the people, if they listening in their cars in the podcast, they can't see it, but go to, is it perfectfitness.com?
Yeah, it is. Perfect online, I think, but you just type in Perfect Fitness.
Yeah.
I have been sold the company, but it's still a very active company.
Got it. Okay. So you did sell it. So what was your smartest money move, period, in your life? What do you think your smartest money move was?
Investing in myself.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah. The first thing was I had decided that I was going to work in a business that was going to be a part of my life, regardless if I worked in it or not. And that was fitness, right? And I went out and I raised $1.5 million from 37 friends and family. And then I learned $1,475,000 worth of ways not to launch a product. I'm down to my last 25,000. And I have access to my wife's credit cards, and that's it. I mean, and I had 5 investors. They were all financiers. None of them had ever created a personal fitness widget before, but they had their best interests in mind with me. And they said, oh, look at these cash flow statements. It's over. You have no money. Okay, you don't have enough money to pay the lawyers, the bankers, the accountants. You can't even pay your manufacturers. You have to get a job. Okay, we don't want to see this other product.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, we don't want to see this other product. And the other product that I had in my hand, and I was like, look, I think I finally figured this out. I've gone through all this failure for 4 years of launching this product, and it was the wrong product. And here's why. It was an invention. It's a longer story. And now I got this innovation. And they're like, you don't understand. It's over. And by the way, you're starting to embarrass yourself. Go get a job. And that was the point where I was like, okay, well, I got $25,000 left. I have the rest of my savings. Where do I put this? Do I just put it in the bank and lick my wounds and declare bankruptcy and move far away and restart? Or do I really believe in myself that I should just go all in? And I took everything I owned. At that point, it was everything, and moved it into the center of the table. And I was like, I am going to totally regret this if I don't go after this. I know it. So I invested in myself and this idea of a dream. And 6 months later, we had gone, a year later, we'd gone to 32 million in sales from 400,000.
Wow. It's the final gut check. The final gut check of just.
It's taking that step off the ramp, right? And I talk sometimes about jumping out of airplanes, and there's this point where you have to completely commit. You're all in. And when you go all in, all of a sudden your focus gets really, really tight. And you're fully committed. And you're like, you know what? I'm only thinking about how this is going to work. I have basically taken my ship, I've burned it, and I'm going to make it work on this new plot of land that I just found, right?
Beautiful. You've talked a lot about teams, and you've written a few books, and I think you've even mentioned that in there, and I've heard you speak on teams. So what would you do if you're a business owner, you're the CEO, and you're committed 100%, but your team isn't, and you're having a hard time getting them, A, to work together, but B, really to be as committed as you are? Is it just the nature of the beast that, employees and, other people aren't going to be as committed as the owner? Or can we get everyone committed to the same level like an owner to serve a greater purpose?
My opinion is you must figure out a way to get everybody committed to be owners. And you will, and maybe you've gone through a shift. Maybe you've had a second, when I was going through my business, there were times where like, oh, this is getting too routine. It's getting too of the slog, right? And then I'm like, you know what? We're doing this pivot and we're going to start going down this direction. And I'm getting more excited and I'm getting reinvigorated. But the people are still back in that, well, it's just a day job and we're just coming along. The very first thing a leader has to do is set the example and serve their folks, because the leader's actions become the actions of the team. And at some point, you're going to have to make some decisions about some who just have a negative attitude. And as hard as you work to get there, they are not the team that you need to move forward. And at that point, you're going to have to make the hard decision and really commit to what's the type of team you're after. Getting people to fundamentally change beliefs and attitudes can be really difficult.
Yeah.
If they don't want to do it, it ain't happening.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing is understanding and communicating to everybody why it's important to be bought into the vision, why it's important, what's the purpose, what are we after? Using that note about little Johnny and how we're going to personalize the mission of this business for everybody here and empower them to say, hey, every month, everybody gets X amount of product that they can donate to whatever important charity or after school program, whatever it is. And we want you to see the benefits of the products that you work on and do things that go above and beyond for your teammates, your employees, and get them thinking of themselves as teammates, get them feeling it. And that emotional connection, if you can't attach emotion, you are not going to get to a point where they really trust, right? You always got to get to the heart before you get to the head.
I love it. I love it. So I found myself doing more of that during this coronavirus downtime. It's a different life right now, where it's just different, where we have more time to really think about what it is that we want and how to get our teams more on board. I hired someone right before the coronavirus. I now have 4 employees. And I'm like, oh my God. But you know what? It's actually been good. It's given me more time to focus, to get clear on what I want. We have team meetings now. I love your expression, get to the heart before you get to the head. I love that. I'm going to run with that one. Speaking of running, I just want to let you know that like I have your back on what you're talking about. When the whole coronavirus started, I started to run like 2 miles every other day.
Mhm.
Last Sunday, I ran 10 miles. I
Boom.
know.
Give that right there. Come on, boom. I'm giving you a fist
I
bump. That's
know.
awesome.
10 miles. And, you know, I just run this gravel thing around the park. Like, I don't like to run on the street because it kills my body. But
Yeah.
I ran 10 miles. I never thought I could do it. And then I was at mile 8 last week. I'm like, oh my God. And I just did not quit. I'm like, you got to do 10. Like, it's not an option. It's like you're 25 grand all in.
Yeah.
So I did that. But
feels good, doesn't it?
yeah, I mean, that's where the living takes place. That's where the experience takes place. Obviously, it's the journey. So I can relate to what you're talking about with teammates and with, you know, your heart and all that. So Alden, I have clients that are affected by the coronavirus, the pandemic. They can't control the environment. They can't control when a vaccine comes. And, you know, a lot of what you talked about is about how to respond to things, how to think about things, what you should be doing with your mindset. And I think it's really important for them to hear that. Is there anything you want to add to that?
You know, listen, first of all, they're not alone. All of us are in this world of uncertainty, right? None of us can control the vaccine. We can't control, nor can we control what's going on around us and the racial tensions that we're all dealing with, right? The one thing that SEAL team and all of SEAL training is based on is separating the noise from what you can actually control. You have to realize, hey, what is helpful to me and what is hurtful to me? What can help me? What can hinder me? It is all about staying focused on what you can control. And when you think about these times of uncertainty, and I know this is a hard thought to think of, but I will tell you right now, it is a law of nature. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. That means for every amount of uncertainty that we are dealing with, there is an equal amount of opportunity. The rub is the opportunity is not going to show up as the way you were used to it in times of certainty. Business owners who can adapt, who can listen to learn, can open their eyes and look at things in a different way will find new opportunities. I promise everybody, there is opportunity out there. It just is going to be in a different form, and it may take a little longer, but it's there for all of us.
Amen. I want to ask you one more question, Alden, which I should have asked you in the beginning, but I don't know, it went off. What do you do for the first hour of your day? Like, how do you start your day?
The very first hour of my day, most of the time I get up and I go on a walk, just me. And I have a black cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
My phone is shut off. I have a Labrador. She's 2.5 years old. And we go for a walk. And, you know, this is going to sound like a little like, I kind of call it a prayer walk. I go out there and I just take in the moment. I really just try and focus on being present. I'll do that walk for about 30 to 40 minutes. And then I go into an exercise routine. And most recently, I've been doing a lot of Peloton riding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have a rowing machine. I think I have PTSD of rowing. Kind of comes back and forth to me a lot.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a lot of Power Zone endurance rides. So, but the very first thing I do is I have that black cup of coffee. It's just a small cup of coffee, and I get outside and I go for a walk. You really focus like, oh, what does the wind sound like? What's a bird sound like? You just get all the other crap that's going to show up on my phone in a minute. Like, I just want my head clear. Like,
Sure.
That's
great.
That's what I do.
It's been great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on. I've learned a lot. and you've motivated me. Even though I am motivated, it's always nice to get even more motivated. Where can people go to learn more about you, to watch your videos, read your books, and all that?
Please come join me on my website, alden-mills.com. ALDEN-mills, MILLS.com.
Perfect. All right, we'll have that in the show notes. Thank you again so much for coming on. It's great to have you.
Hey, it was great chatting with you. I love the thoughtful questions.
Have a question? Want to get in touch with us? Need some help and advice with your finances? Just go to coolmoneyshow.com and reach out to us. That's coolmoneyshow.com.
Krane Financial Solutions is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products. No investment decision should be made based solely on any information provided herein. We do not provide legal, accounting, or tax services. We recommend that all investors seek out the services of competent professionals in any of the aforementioned areas. Certain information provided has been obtained from third-party sources that we believe reliable. However, it's not been independently verified and is not guaranteed.